Well, initially he got really, really sick. He was near death, so it was very noticeable. And I could see the effects of him being very tired all the time.
At first he was a little uneasy or a little scared, but he seemed, at the time when he was diagnosed, he seemed to be taking it better than we were as his parents, and it actually kind of helped me to try not to face the worst of it, and rather see it through his eyes. And all he could see was, okay, what do we need to do, is what he said. Let's just move forward. It's the only way you can go.
Oh, I was devastated. We didn't really find out until a few days in the hospital exactly what it was. They had suspicion, but we kept trying to reason that maybe something other than cancer was the cause, and that it would be a better option, when in reality this was the best outcome.
I was there when he went to the hospital before he knew that he had leukemia. I was at the local hospital before they transferred him to the Children's Hospital downtown. I mean, it was pretty shocking, obviously, but I don't know how else. Like, I wasn't like, I didn't really consider the fact that he could die. It was just another hurdle, I guess.
The initial symptoms for it were, I had a virus, so I was sick, chills, that kind of thing, and then I had some bruising that weren't caused from an impact. It was just black spots on my skin at points, and then also blood soaking through my skin, so I had red dots along the sides of it, and then just a lot of fatigue from simple things. Like if I ran up a set of stairs, I could just feel my heart like pounding out of my chest, kind of thing.
So, with Alex, I was concerned that, he was a student of ours. And one thing is, I was concerned about his own well-being, period. Just, is he going to be okay? Then I was worried, can he keep in the program? And then I was worried about the impact he was going to have on his friends, the people he made here. I mean, it's really hard on those people. It's like, it was hard on me. It's hard on his other teachers. Like, wow, you have this sympathy, and it's different. If Alex had broken his arm, it would have been something completely different. But this was a whole different experience, and so I had to look at it in a variety of ways, partly as the teacher, partly as someone who cares about him, and how it impacts something greater than just the person.
The treatment for this was a little different. They developed the treatment for it actually just a year before I was diagnosed. So it's this pills called atratretinoin, which is a very strong vitamin A supplement, and take 5 pills twice a day, and then arsenic trioxide, so that's rat poison, of course, which that's always great to get pumped into your bloodstream. So I had that, and I would get that every other month, every day for 5 days a week for a month on, and then we'd have a month off for recovery, and kind of go back and forth between that. So that took up a lot of the time. And when I was in the hospital, we did it every single day for the initial segment, because they had to make sure that we aggressively started it, because it's aggressive cancer at the beginning and really takes its toll, so you have to counter it fast.
I was devastated, and it was like when we first were kind of figuring out what he might have had, and cancer was that possibility, that was like the last thing that you wanted. And when the doctor said it, it was just like heart-wrenching. You're thinking, oh my God, all these different things that it could have been, and it turns out to be cancer, and it's like a death sentence. It feels like it. But then once we learned more about it and talked with the doctor, it turned out to be more of the blessing in disguise kind of thing. And then of all the other things that it could have been, is turned out to be the best possible. So
at first I was scared, like very scared, because it's terrifying. But as we got farther along and I noticed that he was dealing with it really well, I started to be a lot more supportive, and we got a little lighthearted about it, and I think that helped the morale, if you will.
It kind of made me feel vulnerable in a way, because I was just getting to know this guy a year ago, and then you know, oh, all of a sudden he has cancer. And, you know, I was thinking, oh, what if that happened to like me or someone else that I, you know, cared about. So it was hard hitting for sure.
There were a couple moments where I was, like there was some fear from me throughout what I was going through. Because when you get news like a disease like this about yourself and you realize you have this, the first things that go through your mind are, is it going to, like, is this thing going to be the end of me? Is this thing gonna, like, is this it? Kind of feelings, and you, like, you mentally process through a lot of that while you're, just because you're in a hospital, you have time to think about it, and every little symptom is one of the, like, it's scary to even, like, mentioning symptoms or like realizing that you have a symptom or anything along those lines. Like every new thing that pops up, you're thinking, oh, is this gonna be like the thing that pushes this past a good point?
Had he had anemia or other types of leukemia, he might not have had the best outcome. He might not have survived. He might have had a lifelong thing with drugs and various procedures, bone marrow transplants, things like that.
I think for the first day I was in the hospital, there was blood that went into like the backs of my eyes, so I started seeing the kind of thing that you see when you look into like a bright light, and then there's that little like plasma like flashing there. I just started seeing that in the front of both my eyes and around it, and my vision got very blurry even while wearing glasses. And that kind of it just like came out of nowhere. I started seeing like that, and it was very freaky. It freaked me out, and it was one of those moments where I was just mentally thinking, like, is this like the decline? Am I gonna be here tomorrow?
When I found out that Alex was cancer-free, I was ecstatic for him.
Well, that was an amazing moment. My wife called me and told me the news that she'd heard from the doctor, and tears welled up in your eyes, and you just couldn't believe how happy you felt at that moment. That was just like a culmination of many months working towards that goal that you knew was there, but until you were actually there and until you actually heard the words, you just could never get your hopes up too much because you just never knew. And then once you heard it, you're just like, it felt wonderful.